I was kicked out after my sister framed me. Then my mom unmasked their lies, cut all financially, and took back our home now. After my sister's lie, Dad kicked me out, and my sister said, laughing, "Good luck, loser." I said okay and left, but they did not know that in 3 days karma would be inevitable. Dad's face was red with rage. His hands clenched into fists at his sides as he pointed at the door. "Get out of my house! Good luck, loser!" Behind him, Natalie stood with that smug little smile, arms crossed, as if she had just won a game she had rigged from the start. "Yeah, good luck," she added, laughing. I wanted to yell at her, tell Dad what a manipulative liar she was, but what good would that do? I had tried it before, 100 times. It never mattered. Natalie could burn the house down, and he would probably still blame me for not stopping her. I turned to Mom, the only person in this house who had ever cared, who had ever stood up for me. Her eyes were filled with a mix of anger and heartbreak, her hands shaking at her sides, as if she wanted to do something, anything, to stop this, but she had already tried, and it had not worked. I exhaled sharply. "Fine." I walked past her and went upstairs to my room. I was not going to beg. I was not going to cry. If they wanted me gone, I was gone. Natalie was still grinning as I passed her. She was not even trying to hide how much she was enjoying this. I slammed my door shut and locked it. My heart was pounding and my hands were shaking as I grabbed my backpack and started to shove my stuff in. A few shirts, some jeans, my phone charger. I did not even have any money. I was 16, still in high school. Where was I going to go? I could hear Mom and Dad still arguing downstairs. Her voice was pleading, desperate, while he was just angry. Natalie had gotten exactly what she wanted, Dad's blind loyalty, Mom powerless to stop it, and me out of the way. I should have seen it coming. This was not the first time she tried to get rid of me. She had lied about me before, twisted situations to make me look bad, made sure Dad saw me as nothing but a failure. But each time, Mom had been there to stop her from going too far. Not this time. This time, Natalie had gone all the way. She told Dad that I had stolen his expensive watch, the one he always bragged about, the one he never let anyone touch. She said I had sold it, that I was probably hiding it somewhere, waiting to cash in. She cried, pretending to be heartbroken that her brother could do such a terrible thing. And Dad? He ate it up. I did not even have a chance to defend myself before he lost it. He grabbed my arm, pushed me against the wall, and yelled in my face about how ungrateful I was, how he should have kicked me out years ago. Mom jumped in, got between us, and yelled back that he was being ridiculous, that I would never do that Natalie was lying. But Dad would not listen. He never did when it came to her. When it was over, I knew I was not going to win this one, so I left with nothing but a backpack, my phone, and no idea where I was going. But I did know one thing: I was done with them. 3 days. That is how long it took. I stayed at Grandma's house for 3 days, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. I was not sad. I was not even surprised, just tired. Grandma did not push me to talk, but I could tell she was upset. She mumbled things under her breath about my dad, about how she always knew he was useless. She never liked Natalie either, always said she was too much like him, entitled, manipulative, always getting her own way. Then, on the 3rd day, my phone rang. It was Mom. At first, I thought she was calling to check on me, maybe to apologize again for not being able to stop Dad. But as soon as I answered, I could tell something was different this time. She was not sad or pleading. She was calm, steady, and when she spoke, there was something in her voice that I had never heard before. "Kurt, come home." I blinked. "What?" "I will send you money for the trip. Come home now." I hesitated. "Mom, She cut me off. "Trust me, just get here." A few minutes later, I got a text message. She had sent me enough money for a bus ticket. I did not understand what was going on, but I knew one thing: Mom never talked like that unless she meant it. So I packed my things, thanked Grandma, and got on the first bus home. When I got to the house, Mom was standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. She was not crying. She was not nervous. She looked ready. "Come in," she said. I stepped inside, and that is when I saw them. Dad and Natalie were sitting on the couch, looking like they had just been hit by a truck. Dad had a drink in his hand, but his grip on the glass was tight, like he was about to break it. Natalie looked pale, her usual smugness nowhere to be seen. I glanced at Mom. "What is going on?" She took a deep breath, then looked directly at Dad. "It is time." He put down his glass and scoffed. "Time for what?" "Time for the two of you to leave." Silence. Natalie let out a nervous laugh. "What?" "You heard me," Mom said, her voice as cold as I had ever heard it. Get out. Dad shot up from his seat. You are kidding. Mom did not even flinch. Do I look like I am joking? He glared at her, his face turning red. This is my house. No, it is not, she said. It is my house. I paid for it. I paid for everything, the bills, the food, the cars, everything. You do not work. You never have. And I am done taking care of you. Dad opened his mouth to argue, but she was not done. She turned to Natalie. And you? You have been sucking up to me for years, treating Kurt like garbage because you knew your father would always have your back. Well, guess what? That stops today. Natalie's eyes widened. Mom, you are not serious. I am. She walked over to the table, picked up a stack of papers, and threw them in front of Dad. I have already spoken to a lawyer. I am filing for divorce. I have canceled your credit cards. Your bank account is frozen. I am done paying for your useless lifestyle. Dad looked down at the papers, his hands shaking. You cannot do that. I can, and I did. Natalie shot up from the couch. Where are we going to go? That is not my problem, Mom said. Maybe you can stay with those friends you like to show off to. Oh, wait, you do not have any, do you? Because the only thing you have ever been good at is making other people miserable. Natalie turned to Dad with panic in her voice. Do something. But for the first time in his life, Dad had nothing to say. He just stood there, staring at the papers, realizing his free ride was over. I leaned against the wall and watched it all unfold. 3 days ago, I was the one packing my bags, getting kicked out while they laughed at me, and now it was their turn. Mom looked at me and smiled. Welcome home, Kurt. For the first time in my life, I saw fear in my father's eyes, real fear, not anger, not arrogance, just pure, helpless fear. Natalie, she looked like she was going to lose it. She kept looking between Mom and Dad, waiting for someone to fix it, to make it go away. But it did not go away. Dad scoffed and shook his head. You are being ridiculous. You cannot just throw me away like some stranger off the street. Mom crossed her arms. That is exactly what I am doing. You are my wife. Not anymore. Natalie stepped forward. Mom, please. You do not mean that. Mom turned to her, her expression cold. Oh, I mean every word. I watched as reality began to sink in. The house, Mom's. The money, Mom's. Every luxury they took for granted, Mom's, and she was tired of letting them live off her. Dad clenched his jaw. Where do you want us to go? Mom tilted her head. Funny. I do not remember you worrying about that when you kicked Kurt out. Dad did not have an answer for that. Natalie's voice turned whiny. Mom, I cannot just leave. I have school, my stuff, my friends. Figure it out, Mom said. Dad let out a bitter laugh. So, you expect us to just pack up and leave? Just like that? Just like that. I could see the panic settling in now. Natalie actually looked like she might cry. You do not mean that. You will change your mind. Mom smiled. Try me. She picked up her phone and started dialing. Dad frowned. Who are you calling? A locksmith, she said. I will change the locks as soon as you walk out that door. That is when I saw the moment Dad realized she was not bluffing. His face twitched, his confidence crumbling. Natalie turned to me. Kurt, say something. Are you really just going to stand there and let them do this? I stared at her, the same sister who laughed in my face 3 days ago when I was the one who got kicked out, the same one who lied about me over and over again, just because she liked to see me suffer. I thought about how she and Dad had looked so smug as I packed my bags, how they thought they had won. I took a deep breath and smiled. Good luck, loser. Natalie's mouth dropped open. Dad snapped, enough of this, I am not leaving. Mom sighed and pointed to the door. You can leave on your own, or I can call the cops and have them remove you. Your choice. Silence. Then slowly, Dad reached for his coat. His hands were shaking, his face flushed with humiliation. He turned to Natalie, who still had not moved. Come on, he muttered. Natalie blinked. Wait, we are actually leaving? No, Mom said. I watched them hesitate, waiting for Mom to change her mind, but she did not. She just stood there, unperturbed, waiting, and then, just like that, they were gone. Mom exhaled and turned to me. Are you hungry? I laughed. Starving. And with that, we closed the door on them forever. The silence after they left was almost eerie. 3 days ago, I was the one standing outside with nowhere to go. Now, it was them. Mom did not look back. She locked the door, texted the locksmith to come as soon as possible, and walked into the kitchen like it was just another day. I made some pasta earlier, she said. It should still be warm. I followed her, still processing what had just happened. You really did it, I said. She scoffed. Damn right I did. I should have done it a long time ago. I sat down at the table, my appetite suddenly catching up with me. The last few days had been so overwhelming that I had barely eaten. Now that I was home, really home, I felt like I could finally breathe. As I ate, Mom poured herself some coffee, her expression unreadable. "You know what is funny?" she said after a moment. "They will be fine." I raised an eyebrow. "What?" She leaned back in her chair. "Your father is a grown man. If he wants to act like a victim, let him. He could have gotten a job years ago, but he chose not to. And Natalie?" She let out a bitter laugh. She thought she was untouchable. Now she is going to find out what it is like to be on the other side. I grinned. "I doubt she will take it well." "Oh, she will not," Mom said. "She is probably throwing a tantrum right now." And so she was. It started with the texts. First, Natalie tried to guilt me. "Kurt, this is crazy. You are really going to sit there and let Mom do this to us?" Then, when I did not respond, she switched to anger. "Wow, so this is payback, huh? You think you are better than me now? Newsflash, you are still a loser." Then came the desperation. "Please, Kurt, I have nowhere else to go." I stared at the message for a long, long time, then I turned my phone off. The next morning, things escalated. Mom was drinking her coffee when the phone rang. She sighed before answering. "What do you want, Greg?" I could not hear what Dad was saying, but judging by Mom's unimpressed expression, it was not anything new. "Uh-huh. You should have thought of that before you kicked our son out," she said. "No, Greg, I do not care. Not my problem. Figure it out." She hung up without another word. I raised an eyebrow. "That bad?" She shook her head and laughed. "He is already realizing how expensive life is when he is the one paying." I snorted. "And Natalie?" "She is panicking," Mom said. "Turns out her so-called friends do not really want to hang out with her when she is not Daddy's spoiled little princess." I could not lie. It felt good. For years they had treated me like an outsider in my own home, like I was nothing. But now they were the outsiders, and the karma was just beginning. For a few days it was quiet. No texts, no phone calls, no drama. I almost forgot she existed. Almost. Then one afternoon, Mom was lying on the couch, reading, when her phone rang again. She looked at the screen, sighed, and put it on speaker. It was Dad. "Lisa, listen, we need to talk," he said. His voice was different this time, less angry, more controlled, like he had rehearsed it. Mom did not look impressed. "Talk about what?" A pause. Then, "Natalie and I want to come back." I almost choked on my drink. Mom raised an eyebrow. "You what?" Dad cleared his throat. "Look, we have been thinking. We got emotional. We overreacted. I think we can all admit that mistakes were made on both sides. But let us face it, kicking us out like this was extreme." Mom sat back. "Where did you live?" Silence. Then reluctantly he admitted, "With my mother." I grinned. That made sense. Grandma was his only real option. "And let me guess," Mom said. "She got tired of your nonsense and kicked you out too?" More silence. Then very quietly Dad muttered, "Yes." I could not help laughing. Mom just shook her head. "Wow, Greg. When your own mother does not want you around, maybe, just maybe, you should consider that you are the problem." Dad ignored that. "Lisa, come on, you know we cannot live on the street. Just let us come back, we will figure something out." Mom's expression turned icy. "Respect first and foremost." "What?" "You heard me," she said. "I will not let either of you back into this house unless you come here with real respect for me and for Kurt. No more insults, no more manipulation, no more leeching off me. If you cannot do that, then you are not welcome here, ever." Dad scoffed. "Lisa, do not be ridiculous. We are a family. You kicked your son out." Mom cut in. "Do not talk to me about family." Natalie's voice suddenly appeared in the background. "Mom, please, But Mom did not care. "No, I gave you everything and you threw it in my face. You both did. And you only care now because you finally know what it feels like to be unwanted." Dad tried again, but Mom was done. And while we were at it, she added, "Let us talk about the divorce." Dad froze. "Lisa." "I've already started the process," she said. "This marriage is over. And if you think for 1 second you are getting anything out of me, you are delusional. I have paid for everything, Greg, and the law will reflect that." Dad's breathing got heavier. "You are making a big mistake." Mom smiled. "No, Greg. I made a mistake marrying you." Then she hung up. I sat back, stunned. "Well, that was fun," I said. Mom stretched as if she had just finished a workout. "God, that felt good." And just like that, Dad and Natalie were out of options. A week passed. Then 2. At first, Dad and Natalie tried to act tough, like they did not care. Natalie posted pictures on social media and acted like everything was fine, but Mom and I knew better. She had nowhere to go. And Dad, he was quickly running out of options. Then one night, it happened. Dad showed up at the house. I was in the kitchen when I heard the knock. It was not loud, not angry like I expected, just slow, hesitant. Mom opened the door, and there he was. He looked bad, unshaven, tired, like the weight of the world had finally hit him. "Lisa," he said quietly, "can we talk?" Mom crossed her arms. "About what?" He looked inside, saw me standing there. His shoulders slumped. I screwed up. I almost laughed. He got it now. "After everything." Mom did not look impressed. "You sure did." "I mean it," he said. "I was wrong about everything, about Kurt, about you. I let Natalie manipulate me. I let my own pride blind me, and I see it now. I waited for Mom to crack, for her to soften just a little, but she did not. Good for you, she said, but it does not change anything." He swallowed hard. "Lisa, please. I know I do not deserve it, but I am asking for another chance, not for me, for Natalie. She cannot do this alone." Mom sighed. "It is not my problem anymore." He winced. "We have nowhere to go." Mom was silent for a long moment, then she said, "I will make you a deal." His eyes lit up. "Anything. I will give you $20,000, she said. "Enough for you to start over, find a place to live, get back on your feet." Dad's face flooded with relief. "Lisa, thank you. I swear I will not waste it. I am going to prove to you that I can change." Mom nodded. "Good. Then let us finalize the divorce." The color drained from his face. "Wait, what? You want the money?" she said. "Sign the papers. As soon as everything is official, you get the 20 grand. I could see the war in his head. He did not want to lose control. He did not want to lose. But the promise of the money was too tempting. He had no job, no savings, no future. So he agreed. A few months later, the divorce was final, and Dad got his 20 grand, or so he thought. Turns out Mom knew exactly what she was doing. The agreement stated that the money would not be released until he proved he could support himself, meaning a steady job, his own place, real responsibility. And if he did not, he got nothing. So in the end, he walked away with exactly what he deserved, absolutely nothing. Life did not go back to the way it was. It was better. For the first time in years, the house felt peaceful. No more tension, no more walking on eggshells, no more listening to Dad and Natalie ganging up on me. Mom and I settled into a new rhythm. She worked. I focused on school. And we actually talked. And Dad? Well, without the house or Mom's money, reality hit him fast. He ended up renting a tiny, run-down apartment that barely broke even. He tried to find a decent job, but with no experience and a terrible work ethic, no one would hire him for more than minimum wage. The golden life he once had was gone. And Natalie? She was still living off him, complaining, whining, refusing to get a real job. I figured it was only a matter of time before something broke. And then it did. It was a random afternoon when Mom's phone rang. She answered it, looked at the screen and sighed. "It is your father." I rolled my eyes. "What does he want now?" She put him on speaker. "What, Greg?" His voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the anger underneath. "You will not believe this." Mom raised an eyebrow. "Try me." He exhaled sharply. It was Natalie. I frowned. "What?" "The watch," he said through clenched teeth. "The one she blamed you for. She stole it. She sold it months ago and used the money to buy clothes and a damn game console. She told me she earned the money, but I just found the proof." I sat back, still. I should have been angry. I should have been furious. But honestly, I just felt tired. Of course she was. Mom, on the other hand, just laughed. "Oh, wow, Greg. You mean to tell me that your precious daughter, the one you trusted more than your own son, lied to you? Imagine that." "Lisa, do not start," he snapped. I kicked her out. I blinked. "Wait, what?" "She is gone," he said. "I told her to get out, just like I should have when this all started." Mom shrugged. "Well, that is your problem now. She has got nowhere to go," he muttered. "She could call you." "If she does, I will block her number," Mom said. He sighed heavily. "Lisa, I screwed up. I see that now. I should have listened to Kurt." Mom smiled. "Yeah, you should have." Silence. Then, almost too quietly, he asked, "Can I come back?" I almost laughed out loud. Mom did not even hesitate. "No, Lisa, you have to pay for your mistakes, Greg," she said. "We all do. But you dug this hole yourself, and now you get to live in it." He did not say another word. A second later, the call ended. Mom put the phone down and exhaled. Well, that was satisfying. I leaned back in my chair and shook my head. I guess karma really does exist. Mom grinned. As I sat there in the quiet kitchen with Mom after that final phone call from Dad, A wave of emotions crashed over me like nothing I'd ever felt before. For years, I'd buried it all. The resentment, the hurt, the constant feeling of being the unwanted one in my own family. I'd convinced myself that I was used to it, that it didn't matter, that I could just tough it out and wait until I was old enough to leave on my own terms. But now that everything had flipped, now that the truth was out and the consequences had finally caught up to them, I realized how heavy that burden had really been. I wasn't triumphant, not in the way Natalie would have been if the roles were reversed. I didn't feel like gloating or rubbing it in their faces. What I felt was relief, pure, overwhelming relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for 16 years, and I could finally exhale. The house felt lighter, safer, like the air itself had been cleansed of all the toxicity that Dad and Natalie carried with them. At the same time, there was a quiet sadness, not for them, but for what could have been. I wondered what my life would have looked like if Dad had ever chosen to see me clearly, if he'd believed in me even once instead of always siding with her lies. If Natalie and I could have been actual siblings instead of rivals in some twisted game she invented. But that version of our family never existed, and mourning it felt pointless now. Mostly, though, I felt grateful. Grateful for Mom, who had endured so much more than I ever knew, quietly carrying the weight of all of us while Dad leached off her strength and Natalie exploited her kindness. She didn't just save me that day, she saved herself too, and in doing so, she showed me what real strength looks like. Not yelling or manipulating, but deciding you'd had enough and refusing to accept less than you deserve. Looking back, those 3 days I spent at Grandma's weren't just a waiting period. They were the turning point. They forced me to imagine a life without the constant drama, without walking on eggshells, without feeling like an outsider in my own home. And when Mom called me back, when I walked through that door and saw the fear in Dad's eyes and the shock on Natalie's face, that's when I knew things would never be the same again. I don't hate them. Hate takes too much energy, and I'm done giving them any more of mine. I pity them a little. Dad trapped in his pride, Natalie finally facing the real world without her safety net. But mostly, I feel free. For the first time in my life, I'm not the loser. I'm just Kurt, living in a peaceful home with a mom who actually sees me, building a future that isn't poisoned by their chaos. And yeah, karma came swift and brutal. But the real victory? It's this quiet happiness Mom and I have now. No drama, no lies. Just us finally choosing peace over pretending. Good luck to them out there, they'll need it. As for me, I'm finally home,